Welcome to the Firehouse, the show dedicated to the brave men and women who serve our community.
Welcome. How's everybody doing? Welcome to the Firehouse on WRHU 88.7. I am your host, Chris Moses, and sitting with me today in the Firehouse is my boy, one of my mentors, Harold Long. What's going on, brother?
Yo, nice to see you be here, man. This is beautiful, man.
I love that you are here. So listen, I know who you are, but the audience doesn't. So do me a favor. Tell the audience who you are, what department you're in, what company, which I already know those two, right? The best company out. And how long you've been in and what ranks you've held.
All right. My name is Harold Long. I'm the ex-chief of the Uniondale Fire Department, Brookside Engine Company 2, the Deuce, the squad.
Yes.
I've been a member of Uniondale and Brookside for 27 years. I've held the ranks of company officers as far as the secretary. I was a treasurer for a little while, first lieutenant, second lieutenant, and 2 times ex-captain. And in 2008, I decided to jump up the ladder and ran for chief, and held the office for department office of second assistant chief, first assistant chief, and chief of department.
Look at that.
Yeah,
Look at that,
yeah.
man. So how
journey.
long was it in whole?
27 years.
Ooh,
I'm on my 28th year right now.
28 years,
Yeah,
man. 28 years. I know you look back like, wow.
Yeah, it was a journey, but it was well worth it.
Well worth it.
All
right, so 28 years. We got to at least start in the beginning.
All right.
What makes you say, I want to be a firefighter? Like,
Well,
what makes you say that? Where were you at in your life that you just said, you know what, I'm about to go into this?
So I graduated Uniondale High School in '95. Really
Okay.
no direction. I knew I needed to go to school, get a job, and start the grind. Again, my father, very instrumental in my rearing. He told me, listen, if you're not going to go to school, you got to get a job.
That's right.
So I went to school, and it just wasn't vibing with me. I went to school to become an accountant. I love numbers, but it just wasn't doing it for me. And one day, my mom came up to me, and she said that she met a guy at McDonald's on Front Street doing an open house at the Firehouse. So again, I didn't know anything about the fire department or firehouse etiquette whatsoever.
Okay.
So I went that Sunday morning. My friend ex-chief Cameron Peak, who did your show a few weeks ago, and I needed a ride, and I was like, yo, let's just go up there and see what it's about. So that Sunday morning, we went up there, and the rest was history. I fell in love with the fire trucks. I knew a couple of people there that I didn't even realize were in the fire department. And
start seeing people like, wait, you here?
I didn't have no idea that they were involved. And at the age of 19, I got sworn in that May 1996.
Look at that, 1996.
May 1996.
Think about, right? It's crazy how time just
it flies,
goes,
man,
and just goes. And look at where you are now.
Yeah. So I went through all the probationary process. Me and Cameron were one of the 2 first to actually go through all the classes, all electives that the Fire Service Academy had to offer, and we decided to take an EMT course.
Okay.
And I sat on that for about a year, and one of my mentors, Kevin Levy from Company 1, got me in touch with FDNY EMS, and I put my paperwork in to join the ranks of FDNY on the EMS side, and I've been there since 2000.
Look at that. So that's some time too. That's
Yeah,
24 years.
24 years.
24 years. When you retiring? When is time?
I was just.
Or you gonna stick it out?
I told you.
You're young.
I told you before. I had a number in my head at was 50. My number's 50. I'm 47 now. Because I did some things right in my younger years. The 50 number's looking
looking good.
So I might, stay, till I'm 50 and then hang it up by then. But I'm tired now.
So before I go into my other questions, I got to ask this question. So everybody, so you EMS 24, right? Mm-hmm. I looked in the bio too. You were talking about, possibly jumping to do, training and actually being an instructor. Mm-hmm. What makes you say, I want to stay EMS? Because a lot of people that came on the show and a lot of people that I know, they go EMS, then they go to fire. I want to go to fire. What made you say, you know what? I want to stay here and do this?
So what happened?
And for our listeners, this is FDNY.
FDNY EMS.
This is
Yeah. So in a nutshell, when I joined the city in 2000, I was 24, and the age out is 29. So I knew when I got on that I had one open competitive that I can do, and then there was talks of a promotional that was being offered. Well, the promotional came out in 2002, so now I'm 27. So I took the promotional and I took the open competitive. Scored very well on both. The issue was by the time they called me through all the red tape and bureaucracy with the promotional, I had already reached my 29th birthday.
Okay.
Wasn't really a big deal to me, and it still isn't because I'm glad I took the path that I took with EMS. But since then, the classes, and I was one of the guys in the union that pushed for more cohesive testing as far as the promotional. Long story short, they come out a little bit more regularly now. So people who do want to transition over to the fire side have an easier way to do it. And we're starting younger now. 18, you can join FDNY EMS. You put in your 2 years or 3 years with EMS, you have the opportunity to transition to the fire side.
Okay.
So that was a good platform and a good avenue for a lot of minorities to actually crack that glass ceiling to actually get into FDNY.
Okay.
And it's been good for the service as a whole. You know what I'm saying?
That's good.
So that's why I stayed.
Yeah.
That's why I
you stayed there.
on the EMS side. I felt like I was doing more good on that end. And, my career has been very fruitful. You know what I'm saying? It's been, I've seen a lot. I did a lot. You know what I'm saying? And I've met a lot of lifelong friends.
That's what the fire service does. That's like the theme with everything that we've been doing up here, and we have it and people come. That is what they always say. Lifelong friends and
brotherhood.
Relationships that you find.
Yep.
So 27 years, I know you got some stories. I know you got some stories on both sides because you're fire and then at work you're EMS. So I know you running EMS calls here as volunteers too. So I know you got some stories. You got to tell me something. Tell me something. 27 years.
I'll give you one. I'll give you one good one. I want to say it was like 05 or 06. 1 o'clock in the morning. Just left the firehouse. Going home. Get home. Box goes off. Mutual aid to Roosevelt. Get on the rig. Nice little crew. We always, I was the officer in charge of the crew that night. So we're boogieing up Nassau Road, going down Babylon Turnpike, and it's maybe about a block or two away from the high school in the back streets. So we get out. Roosevelt needs a line. We augment their first line. We pull the second line. So I see a guy. He just retired from FDNY, Wayne Ludwig. Really nice dude.
Okay.
From truck company.
We gotta get him on this show. We'll talk to him.
Man. So I left the crew. A lot of senior, veterans on the line at the time. So Wayne goes, they say that there's somebody on the third floor. Now this is a big house, 4 levels, balloon construction, one of these Queen Anne Victorian houses with the porch in the front. Really nice house. So we go inside and it's rocking from the basement all the way to the top floor. So we make it our way up to the third floor. We check in 2-3 rooms and there's nothing. There's nobody up there. So now it's raining. It's starting to rain outside and it's pushing all the smoke down. And we go back out in the hallway and we can't see anything. It's completely black. So we found our way to the main stairs and we start making our way down. And he looks into the room to our left and he's like, there's no floor. And I'm like, what are you talking about? So he said, yo, look. So he shined his light and it's like a cliff from the third floor all the way down to the basement, floor completely gone. And then he looked at me and I remember him saying, there's no reason why we should be in here. So I said, you know what, Wayne?
This is in the middle of everything.
We're in the middle of the fire.
He
looks over and he said, you know what? There really isn't a reason why we need to be in here. There's nobody up here.
There's nothing.
It's time for us to get up out of here. So at that point, I said, you know what? This dude knows what he's talking about. Like,
senior guy.
senior guy. FDNY, this dude
This
in
is
the
what
squad.
you're saying?
We
I'm
out
behind you.
here.
Let's
We
go.
out here. We get outside, you know, and everyone's looking at us like, y'all in there? Like, what, you know, we're just outside operation. And we was like, we were told that there was people trapped inside, you know, and there wasn't. So that was a cop.
That's hilarious because it's one of those moments where you just look and you're like, what are we doing?
What are we doing in here? What are we doing
really
in here?
doing
It's time to go. We ain't doing nothing. Let's get up out of here. So that was a memory that stuck with me. And I had another one maybe about a year later. Harold Gundell, God bless the dead. He was an ex-chief in Uniondale. He actually broke his hip trying to get from the bucket into the second floor window. Wow. And I mean, the scene was just crazy already. And I'm on the line, you know, with a couple of guys, and we're going to the room, and, you know, everyone's yelling and screaming. And I stand up and I close the bedroom door, and the smoke lifts. We take Harold off of the, you know, off of the window, and, you know, we package him up and we get him out the same way. And that taught me two things. You know, anything can happen at a moment's whim, and somebody has to keep their composure.
There we go.
No matter how crazy it may get or it may seem, somebody has to take a deep breath, take a step back, and start working on it. You know, working on the problem to solve it. So those two things was really key in my head.
I got some stories for you. So I got two for you that I remember. Yeah. So first one is gonna be pretty funny. CJ, which he was on our show, he's like one of the first people on the show. He's not gonna like this, but I gotta say it.
Smart man.
So
like
we're in the Firehouse one day, and it's just for the audience, just so y'all know. Listen, it's always all love. We're in front of the Firehouse one day, and I got the video of this.
I can't believe you still got that video.
And they're arguing. And this is Harold and this CJ going back and forth, and I think CJ says something like, "Oh, well, I'm the lieutenant and I'm this," and he's like, "I'll see you." Oh no, he was an ex-captain. He's like, "I'm an ex-captain." He's like, "I'll see your blue dot and raise you a gold star." Everyone goes, "Oh!" Stands up. It was hilarious, yo.
You know, that happens often. Like you said, it's a brotherhood. It's family. I was always taught, if they don't mess with you, if they don't pick on you, if they don't take jabs at you, they don't really mess with you. They're not gonna, you know, there's guys that came through the fire department, through the Firehouse, even through Roosevelt and Hempstead and Freeport, and that's a brotherhood. And they'll say the same thing. You know, you'll meet these guys on Sunday, and by Friday they're not there anymore.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? But the ones that stay, the one that endures, the ones that show a vested interest, those are the ones you take under your wing, and those are the ones you hold close. And CJ, yourself, just the two names I can call that I knew when they walked through the doors, they were going to be good, not just for the Firehouse, but for me personally. And when me and CJ go back and forth, we go back and forth. It's always love. It's always respect. Love. But sometimes you have to knock the young.
You gotta knock them down.
You gotta knock the young bucks. Knock them down a peg or two. You know what I'm saying? And at the time, you know, CJ was an ex-captain. This, that, and the third. I think he was on the job in EMS about to transition to fire, which is great. But that night, you know, I just got tired of hearing them, you know, some of the stories and stuff like that. It's like another one of my sayings is I've missed more runs than you've been on.
You go. Wait, say it one more time so the audience can hear it.
I've missed more runs than you've been on.
I know it. There we go. I know the senior guys listening to that know that phrase. And sometimes you got to say that. So I got another one. Yeah. Another story, which you probably don't even remember. We had a fire that was right next to the Firehouse.
Right.
And we're upstairs, fire's out and everything like that. We were upstairs, and now we're, you know, there's smoke everywhere. You know, it's that white smoke, everything we're doing overhaul. And you look at me and you're like, there's too much smoke in here. Get it out, right? So I'm like, all right, I'm trying to find the window. I can't find the window. And I'm looking, it's dark. I'm trying this. And you literally, I don't know if you remember, you grabbed the line and said, stop, listen. And you took the line and moved it. I said, oh, he said, that's the window.
That was a fire right behind
right
Brookside.
Next, and I'll never forget that because it was a teachable moment in the middle of the fire, which is something I knew, but you know, when you're in there, you're not doing it. You're like, stop, calm down, listen. And you held the line and you moved it. And I said, there it is. Keep it there,
Open
Super.
board.
And within couple of
minutes, it was lifted, and you can walk around and see in there. You know what I remember about that is where we responded from.
Yeah.
To get to that, you know, like you said, you know, it's a brotherhood. We cry together, we laugh together, we also eat together. We were all out eating at RC's wings. I think it was like 10-cent wings or something like that.
Yep.
And the box,
RC Dugan
the box went off, and we were out. You know what I'm saying? And we were first due. You know,
first due all the way from East Meadow.
Yeah, from East Meadow. First
East
due
Meadow
box.
back to Uniondale.
You know what I'm saying? I remember that too. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, like I said, like you said, you know, it's a teachable moment. Those little tricks you don't learn in a book. You know what I'm saying? That's somebody that's been there time and time again. I learned that from somebody. You know what I'm saying? I learned that from one of my OGs. And he said, you know, you learn a lot by just shutting up. You know, you'll hear a lot more if you just close your mouth.
Close your mouth.
You know what I'm saying? You'll hear the crackling of the, you know, of the fire, of the embers in the fire. You know what I'm saying? You'll feel the radiant heat. You know, back in the day, Scott packs and hoods were a premium. In 96, 97, 98. You know what I'm saying? You know, we transitioned from pull-up boots in 93 to full bunker gear in 2000. So within that time period, in between those years, you know, we were still trying to figure it out. You know, if you had a hood, you probably brought it from a show, you know, somewhere.
It wasn't given to
you.
you.
It wasn't given to
wow.
you.
See,
so,
I didn't know
so at that stage of my career, you know, I didn't, you know, you just pulled your flaps up and pulled your flaps down on your helmet, and you went in. You know, you didn't know how to gauge how hot it was in a room until you know, pull it down a little bit to see how hot it really got. You know, a lot of things happened to a lot of firefighters. That's why they went, and the technology has changed over the last 30 years. Like, it's crazy the quantum leap that the fire service has taken in fire protection for the members. And like I said, you know, just listening, you know, stopping long enough, holding your breath for a second or two just to hear where that fire is, or you might hear a faint cry for help, or you might, you know, hear something different, and that'll draw your attention to where you are. You know, so I was kind of a bully on the fire floor. You know, if you didn't have to talk, don't talk. You know what I'm saying? Let me hear what's going on so I can gauge how far in we have to go. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, when I was a first lieutenant, second lieutenant, even captain, I was kind of a bully on the fire floor. There had to be some control. So, and I was the one to keep the control as much as I could. You know what I'm saying?
All right. So I got another question for you. Yeah. I want you to run me and really quick, just run me through a day, you know, at work, right? So at work. Like, you know, as EMS, like when you get there, like how does that all work? Just run me through the beginning of your shift, because I know, you know, fire is different. They come in, you know, they do this and do that. But with EMS, what happens on the work side of things?
So doing it for 24 years, I've transitioned to Rikers Island. FDNY EMS opened up an EMS substation on Rikers Island, the jail. Okay. So I was part of a 16-man crew, ALS and BLS, that started that pilot program, and it's going strong still. They're actually looking to expand it. DOC loves us so much that they're talking about building us a brick and mortar within the next 2 or 3 years
look at that.
on the island. So a typical day, it all starts the same whether you're at a regular station in the city or where I'm at now. You clock in, you get a cup of coffee. If your unit isn't back yet, you have a little bit of downtime. But if your unit is back, the bosses do give you a grace period of 15 minutes to check your equipment. Part 800 your bus, which is a state thing, to make sure that you have all the relative equipment that you need to run for the day, or your drugs are not expired, things of that nature. And you report to your 89. That's your immediate response area. Now, it's kind of, you can end up anywhere in your 12-hour shift from your 89. But usually they try to keep you within the confines of your police sector as much as they can. But the city,
meaning you can end up at any one of the jails.
You can, not the jails. I'm talking about just on the outside.
Oh,
I'll get to the jail in a minute. Just on the outside as an outside unit. A regular 911 unit. So you can start out in South Jamaica and
end up where
in the South Bronx. You know what I'm saying? That's how, you know,
wow.
FDNY EMS handles about 1.8 million calls a year. So we are definitely running. When I first got on the job in 2000, we was doing roughly between 900,000 and a million. Now we're up to 1.8 million calls a year. So definitely you run in your 12-hour shift. On Rikers Island, I'm there. We only do
you're doing everything
there on the island. So we transport inmates as well as officers as well as the general population when they're there. Because there are people that work on the island that aren't corrections officers. They're the civilian employees of corrections. So we take care of everybody that's there, whether you're an inmate or you're a civilian employee. If you get hurt, sick, X, Y, and Z, you go to the clinic. They call for EMS. I'm usually one of the units that respond there.
It's crazy. For a lot of listeners that don't know, I used to be a correction officer, so I know Rikers Island. We need to do a whole show on that.
You could do a whole
because
show.
I was a correction officer, and then I transitioned into the actual fire on the island.
Right, they have their own.
So they have their own fire department, but we could do a whole show about that. We could just talk the things that we've seen, and it's insane. But another thing I got a question for is, there's gonna be different people listening to this, whether they're old, new, whatever. But for the newer person that just got in the firehouse, or someone that's thinking about getting in the firehouse, what is some nugget or some type of advice you'd want to give them?
Check your ego.
There we go. Okay.
Check your ego. When I joined, I was 19. I was already kind of humbled because of where I was in life and where the position that I was in going into the firehouse. So I didn't know anything about the fire department. I don't have any family members. I don't have any friends per se that's on the fire side. So walking into that building was very humbling and very scary. But what I quickly learned is that you get out what you put in. That's right. And very true. I had a vision when I was looking at that board of our ex-captains and ex-chiefs from Brookside Engine Company too. And I said to myself, one day I'm going to be on that board. And I surrounded myself with people in Brookside that had a lot of knowledge, not just on the fire floor, but a lot of knowledge as far as the inception of Brookside and Uniondale Fire Department as a whole, because it started in 1924. So I love my older generations, even to today with working. My geriatric calls are the best for me because our older population is such a wealth of information that you're not going to get in a book. You know what I'm saying? So being able to talk to some of my old timers, on a Tuesday afternoon at 3:00 watching Shirley Temple on TV, as much as it annoyed some members, I thought it was a plethora of information.
A book of history, open it up.
They kept, their mind was still sharp. We're talking guys that are 80, 90 years old, but still sharp as a knife. These guys could take you down a rabbit hole when as far as Uniondale Fire Department, that it was, and a lot of it I wrote down. I wrote down a lot of it. I wish I would have recorded it. Or we had something like this, we could have recorded them.
Get all that information, so we
have it. But I would say that check your ego. I was a chief of department in charge of 300 souls, a budget of over $1 million a year. I got I got out of the position one Tuesday. The following Sunday, I'm at Brookside Engine Company too, and I'm mopping the floors and cleaning the bathroom. Wow. You know what I'm saying? Life at the firehouse still continues, whether or not you're a probie or you're a chief of department. You know what I'm saying? So that was the way to show the younger guys that it doesn't matter what positions I hold or that I'm in. I'm just like you. So if I can get down on my knees and clean the toilet, then you can do it too.
That's right.
And I've been doing that for 27 years.
I love that.
I'm not above any of that.
I love that. I really do love that. So, I don't know if you know, but we play this game called the Flashover.
Yeah, I seen
it. You seen it.
Yeah,
so
I seen it.
We got to play the game. So, Chief, what is a flashover?
That's when all of the contents of a room reaches the same ignition point, including yourself.
Yeah, if you're there, right?
if
you're there.
If you're still
so
there.
it's really quick, boom, like that.
Very fast.
So you've seen the show, you know it's very fast. I need these answers quick. And we're doing TV shows.
All right.
All right. So it's funny because someone had commented that this tells a lot about a person.
Yeah.
This game, because you get to see what they like. You're like, how are you going to like that over this one? So that's why they're a little difficult.
Yeah.
All right. So, Chief.
Yep.
Harold Long, are you ready?
I'm ready
for the flash over?
I'm ready.
Ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. Chicago Fire Rescue Me.
Rescue Me.
Rescue Me Third Watch.
Third Watch.
Backdraft Ladder 49. Here we go. This is it.
It's got to be Backdraft. It's got to be Backdraft.
And then the question now, most important, engine or truck?
Oh, the engine, of course.
There we go. The engine.
Squad
boom,
2
put
all
the
day.
red stuff on the red
engine.
stuff.
That's
engine
it.
all day. So going into that, and there's a question that I always ask, what have you seen in these shows that we have talked about that was like literally outlandish? Like, we don't do that. Or is there things that you've seen like, you know what, this show, they kind of do what we do?
Well, I went with Backdraft because it's just the nostalgia of that movie. You know, watching Bull and Axe and the camaraderie that the guys in the Firehouse had. That's real. It's a brotherhood. And once you get inducted into that brotherhood, you're in it for life. You're in it for life.
And I'm going to pause you there for everybody that's listening, especially my new guys or my guys that want to join. He is 100% right. Once you are in, you're in. It literally becomes a part of your life. It doesn't matter how mad you get, and we've all been there pissed off.
Yeah.
This is a part of your life, and you just can't leave it alone.
Right.
You always will be like, oh, let me go help out this. Let me go do this. Let me go do that. Because that's just the way it is. Even if you take a quick hiatus,
right.
you always come back.
Right, you
but
always
go ahead
come
and
back.
finish.
So Backdraft is unrealistic. 100%.
Completely. The Backdraft people are gonna kill me because everybody
totally unrealistic. Those weren't flashovers. Those were smoke explosions, if you really want to be technical. But it was. I liked the movie because of the camaraderie that it showed, especially with the two brothers.
Yeah.
Rescue Me. Well, Third Watch. You know that's another one that shows the camaraderie. But again, it's just for Hollywood. They have
it's TV.
It's TV. You have to be able to show the inside of a working fire, an emergency. There is a movie that just came out about a month and a half ago with Mike Tyson in it. It's more of an EMS-based movie. That's probably the most realistic depiction of the EMS side of it that I've seen in a long time. And because there's such a push, and rightfully so, I'm so happy. There is a push for mental health in that movie. I'm not going to tell you the ending of it. You know, it's kind of sad, but at the end of the day, they are leaning more into the mental health aspect of not just the firefighting, but also PD, corrections, EMS, because, you know, we're still flesh and blood. We still feel, we still have those emotions, and to have somebody to talk to when things of that nature happen, whether you lose somebody on the fire floor, well, something happens, or you see something that's totally crazy on an EMS scene, it's nice to have somebody to talk to. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. You need that.
Emergency services is probably as hardcore man-ish you can get, but we also need someone to talk to as well to debrief when something catastrophic happens.
Definitely the truth. So, question, really quick, something that you want to debunk about the fire service. You know, there's always this, and they say that example. One of the guests said, "I've never got a cat in a tree."
I've got a cat.
Someone else had said that, and then someone else had said, "The calendar." That's not true. We don't look like that.
Oh.
We don't. Darnell Perry had said that. He was like, I'll just let you know, the calendar's not true. We don't look like that. We're going to do our job, but we're not coming looking like this.
Yeah.
So anything that you could think, and if you can't, don't worry about it, but something that you want to debunk for the listeners.
I would say one of the things that I will debunk is that anybody can do the job.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I've heard that once or twice in my career. Anybody can be a firefighter. Anybody. And I don't believe that. I think being a firefighter, being a good firefighter, being a dedicated firefighter, especially when you're a volunteer, I think it's a calling.
That's right.
I think it's something that calls to you when you're there, and you'll hear the whisper in your ear, you know, in your bones when you first join, and nothing was going to keep you away from the fire service. You know what I'm saying? Nothing's going to keep you away from going down to the firehouse and checking your gear at least, once or twice a week. Nothing's going to keep you away from helping your community in that fashion. So I would say, no, everybody can't do this job. You know what I'm saying? Because if everybody did it, then everybody would be a firefighter.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
All right. So last question for you. Just in a whole, 27 years, in the volunteer service, 24 years in EMS, but it started as a volunteer.
Mm-hmm.
So how has that shaped your life?
It is my life.
It is your life.
It is my life. Service is just in my DNA. My mother, my father served. They served in the church. My sisters were nurses. They served on the ER floor, and it just fit like peanut butter and jelly. Like Cameron said, when we walked in those doors at Brookside, it was just something that overtook us, and we put everything into the fire service. We put everything and left nothing on the table. To today, there's nothing I wouldn't do for my volunteer company. You know what I'm saying? My phone is on to all of my members. Makes no difference what time of the day it is or night it is. If somebody needs something, I'm there. Service, man. That's just what it is.
That's what it is.
Yeah,
I
man.
love to hear that. Listen,
Service.
Ex-Chief Long,
Yo,
thank you,
Ex-Captain
brother.
Moses.
Yo, thank
big
you
things
for
up here,
coming through, gracing your presence.
Appreciate
Is there anything else you want to tell them before we get out of here?
Yo, tune in to the radio station.
There we go.
Hit these podcasts up. Keep the love going. We want to see this grow bigger and better, man.
Because it's all about retention and getting people in here, letting them know what everybody's doing, man.
That's it,
letting them know. So thank you, man, for real.
Yo, love you, baby.
So listen, we just heard from ex-Chief Harold Long of the Uniondale Fire Department about his life as a firefighter. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. Please like, share, subscribe. I am your host, Chris Moses, and tune in next week for another great conversation in the Firehouse.
Join in the festivities as Chief Anthony Capone and the Valley Stream Fire Department hosts the Nassau County Firefighters Parade in conjunction with Engine Company 4's remarkable milestone of 100 years. On Friday, June 21st, indulge in delicious food and refreshing beverages provided by Paul Evans Catering and live music by Crucify. On Saturday, June 22nd, grab a chair and witness the Valley Stream Fire Department host the Nassau County Firefighters Parade, starting at Rockaway Parkway and Wheeler Avenue, and ending at the Village Green with children's amusements, food and beverage, and a live performance by Decadia. Celebrate WRHU, the greatest show on earth.